That's for sure slow.
Yep.
You psych me
Hello,
out.
everyone. I'm Steve Peterson.
And I'm Jack Hinkle.
Welcome back to Chops Podcast, where we talking about knowing your students, knowing your teaching, and knowing your content. Good day, Jack Hinkle.
Wow. Australian?
Sure.
Sure. Good day to Steve Peterson. Steve, how are we doing on the coffee intake? Last time we talked, you said you're slowing it down.
I am at 3 cups a day. I have changed the input as far as the timing is concerned. I now do 1 cup at home. I take 1 in my thermos, and then I make a cup at school because one of our coworkers brought in a Keurig, so I have that in the afternoon. So I'm doing 3, like 3 12-ouncers.
Okay. Because you were doing 2 for a time.
I was doing 2,
Didn't
but
go
that
well.
afternoon needs a little something. And what are you doing?
I do 2 every day. 1 at home, 1
All
at
through
school.
the day?
No, I can't do all through the day. I have to do after lunch. If I do it like before lunch, I get
A little jittery.
the jazz bands play too fast,
Yeah.
or they just sound like it because I'm like, it seems. Guys, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. We were doing a sectional once, and with the trumpets in the piano lab, and the altos working on that barbecue thing, like the soli.
Mm-hmm.
And one of them recorded us playing it on Snapchat, and then they added like the 4x speed to it, and like just hearing the count off, it was like Alvin and the Chipmunks sound. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4.
You were cooking.
We must have been. Yeah. Good times. So for you listeners out there, supposedly it's January, if I do my math correctly and share this at the right time. But for us, we're still back in the days of December. And this is...
Tell us, how did Christmas and New Year's go?
Yeah. Did you get what you wanted from Santa? Or did you get coal? It's the final Wednesday of the last week of school for us, but we're sending this out so it makes more sense for you listeners on when you want to listen. And we have 2 more days of school.
Perfect days.
2 perfect days. So you can imagine the productivity levels right now are just off the charts.
Aren't you guys in finals, though?
Oh, we did have a final today in
Did
music
you have
theory.
your music theory?
Yeah.
What was the emotional temperature of the kids?
Well, it was 2 parts. It was 10 random key signatures, and then it was 4-part writing. So it was like this, like going up for the key signatures, like, yeah, there, I got this. Then they opened up the 4-part. They're like, oh, no.
So 4-part writing.
Yeah.
A couple different examples.
It was like 1 FRQ, 1 free response question. But I graded some of them, and most of them did pretty well. Like most of them did
Because you're a
quite
good
well.
teacher, Jack.
Well, I haven't graded all of them yet, so let's hold off on the judgment until then. But, I did text Steve. I texted Steve yesterday, like in the middle of the day. I think it was yesterday. I said, if I'm doing a deceptive cadence from a 5/7 chord, am I able to double the third asking for a friend?
And what did Steve do?
Ask ChatGPT.
I did.
Did you really?
Yeah.
You gave me a ChatGPT answer.
Let me
You said
explain.
sources say yes. Your sources, ChatGPT, were cooked. Society, cooked.
No, because I wanted, Jack, I was really busy yesterday, so I didn't have time to get back to it. So I just asked ChatGPT. I asked ChatGPT, and then it told me I could double the third in going from a 5/7 to a 6. I know I said 7/6. Then I imagined it in my head, and I was like, okay, makes sense. Then on the way home, I was visualizing like going from a G major to an A minor, or a G7 to an A minor.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So I was picturing that.
Yeah.
Then I was thinking doubling the third, everybody's hanging out on the B. And the problem with the doubling the third is that it's a
tendency
tone,
so then you get parallel octaves.
so it would
if you're
go,
a business person listening to us still,
deal with it.
thank
So
you.
the B would go up to the C,
Yeah.
but to avoid parallel octaves, the B would go down to the A, which is the root. So I like to do with ChatGPT is find the answer, but then also understand and prove it myself.
Okay. Because the only way I could resolve the F to the E
Yes.
and the B to the C would mean, without parallel octaves, would mean doubling the third. So I figured it had to be okay because there was nothing else I could do.
Yes.
Yeah. So no, the kids did okay. So that was the emotional temperature. And then tomorrow and Friday, the lesson plan for that class is taking holiday music and like reharmonizing it, but like no rules. The only
Fun.
rule is it has to be a chord member.
Will they do it on their iPads or on paper?
I think like on paper on their iPad, like
Gotcha.
not digitally
And then you'll
scored.
play it for
And
them, or-
then, well, I want them to. I want to rewrite them on Friday, and then they'll bring in their instruments and play it. That's the current plan, but we'll see if that comes to
Okay.
fruition. So that was the emotional temperature here at the high school.
What
And
do you
then
do in jazz band?
we're reading our new music. We're starting
Mhm.
to play through that. Blue Bassa. It's good.
Mhm.
It's a really good arrangement. Mark Taylor,
Is it
banger.
a new one?
Mm-hmm. One we don't own, we do own now. And Armando's Rumba.
Uh-huh.
That is a banger. That's fast. We're playing at like halftime, like half the speed right now, and it's still kind of tricky. Some interesting saxophone harmonies.
Yes, I remember getting into a lot of what note is that? Like what note is that? And there's a
ledger
lot of
lines.
tricky rhythms because things line up the same but almost the same.
Almost. Yep.
And there's just little differences at the end of each phrase.
Little differences. So, okay, sorry if you're bored about us talking about music, but that was my time. How was the emotional integrity and temperature at the Move Up Academy?
Well, let me tell you. Today Jack was asking me if progress was slowing down at the end of the semester. And I actually feel like the opposite is true. I feel like the success, the completion rate of certain things is higher.
Yeah.
And it's certainly much quicker pace than it was in September,
Love to hear it.
which is great. And I'll give them props for that because it's the middle of December and it's like wah wah. And we're getting into snow delays and ice delays and all that. And there's still, there's signs of life. There's some students that are still, trying to find their way of knocking out credits and what that means to how they work in class or work at home, and they're still figuring that out. It's surprising, Jack. And you say, why is that,
Gee,
Steve?
is it, Steve?
Because the best days are the days that I'm teaching something.
That's not sarcastic. I have to remind
No,
myself
it's not
because some days
sarcastic.
you're administrating or coaching. You're not necessarily teaching.
Yeah, and some days I'm like counseling, and I like talking to the kids, but I ain't a counselor, and I know, I have my
He's got
boundaries,
teacher in his
right?
blood.
Right?
Must teach.
Must teach, but when I can help a student, regardless of the subject, understand or like learn something new that day, and sometimes it's me learning something new at the same time.
Yeah.
Which is different. We've talked about this before, but it's like different than being a music teacher for many years where the new content was slower to come.
Yeah.
It was still there as a new learner wanting to get techniques and theories and right, schedules right and pacing right, but this could be like a whole new, subject area and whole different historical era, and just learning something about that, but then also teaching something to the students, and I had a really honest conversation the other day about a student that was working on World War II and was already done with a test, and one of the questions that he had gotten right was about D-Day. And then he was asking, well, what was D-Day? And then I was like, well, let me tell you. But being able to like just take 5 minutes and like walk it back and say, okay, this is what Europe looked like. This is what was happening with the Nazis. This is what was happening with the Allies. And this is how it all came to be. And he goes, oh, I've seen this footage before.
Yeah.
And I said, yeah.
Nice.
So, just making a connection and like why that was important. Which is good. I know that sounds funny, but isn't that like, I'm talking to all the teachers, you too, Jack, but isn't like teaching the most fun when you're teaching? I know that sounds ridiculous, but When you're sharing
here we go.
something new, that the students are in a space that they can digest it or chew on it appropriately, because you don't want them to like just wolf it down right away.
So like teaching is fun when the kids are learning.
Yeah.
Yeah. When you're teaching, but they're like picking it up and they're with you.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, that's like the bread and butter moment of the day.
And I say that like with wonder in my voice, like I'm a first year teacher. Like it's still cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
And like I don't know if I would have told young Steve you'd be so pleased that when things went right and students learned something. Like I thought that was what happened every day, but I don't think that doesn't always happen every day.
Yeah, I was going to say I would think veteran teachers know not to take that for granted.
Right. And so when you get that situation where something locks in with what you're saying and what a student is receiving and building upon, then it's like that's a really great moment.
Yeah.
It's like the first moment in their lives that like that concept was like, oh, look at that.
Yeah. Very cool.
Right?
I would think so. Especially at this time of year, given what's going on in the school world, like things slowing down, having moments where the kids are like excited and like understanding and like, no, I get this. That's a big moment.
That is.
I think that's one of our observation bullets is like in learning is spark student engagement, like highly effective.
Right.
Box is like students are excited by the material they're learning and are digesting it appropriately, something along those lines.
Right.
Yeah, it's real.
So I have to remind myself that teaching, is part of the trifecta at Aspire, the alternative school. Teaching, there's also, of course, there's the content, what looks a whole lot different, knowing your students
Sure.
got it, getting there, and then like how I'm teaching it. But if I've never taught World War II or polynomials, I'm learning it, but then also I'm not really sure how to teach it. So I have to become familiar with it so I can break it down and help somebody else do it.
Mm-hmm.
But it's also in the context of long-term planning with the students.
Yep.
What are we doing with these credits? How's it going to apply here? What do you want to do when you exit the walls of Concord High School? And then also just like a check-in, what's going on, and trying to weave all three of those together, but then also trying to get to the next student without rushing it. And it's interesting gig.
Juggling the trifecta for real.
Juggling
lot of
the
juggling.
trifecta.
Making sure you hit all facets. So, Steve, today, recognizing successes, recognizing challenges for Jack and Steve. First semester going into second semester. That's what we're doing. That's what the show notes said.
Yeah.
Why you don't sound excited about it? Come
I
on,
know.
bro. Let's go.
I know. I should bump it up.
Yeah, I guess if you want to
I
talk
don't
about
like
it,
being
that's fine.
I don't like being a just a
Negative Nelly.
negative now. No, just like a
positive Patty.
honk and just saying what I don't do well. But what I mean is like there's some things that I say over and over that I don't do over and over that I would like to do better at.
Like PEMDAS?
No.
Okay.
I got PEMDAS. Something. I had a case of that one time. But I do like, okay. At the front of the year, when it was warm out,
Miss those days.
I was outside the Move Up Academy every morning with my cup of coffee, greeting each kid by name, shaking hands with each kid by name, and even waiting until the tardy kids came on. Once that 40 degrees hit, I'm out of there. I am out of there. Then I moved to like the first hallway as they come in. But now sometimes I'm just at my desk. I'm like, hello, from across the. Sometimes it's because I'm in a conversation with somebody.
Well, and you're really busy. That's what you
I'm
tell me
really
whenever
busy.
you don't do it.
Yeah, I have got something going
I'm
on.
busy.
there's some students, I think maybe you could hop onto this one, that I just don't know well enough, like at all.
Sure.
And I feel horrible about that.
And it's not from a lack of effort, right?
No, and
I think about that.
I just don't know. And it's not that I need to know anything that insanely huge or important, but it's just like some kind of connection. Like I don't have a connection with all the kids. And maybe you're thinking, well, you're not supposed to. But I think that's kind of
you got to seek it.
The intent.
Yeah, you got to go for it. Right. Well, and that's kind of in the kid's control, though. You know, like you can, I agree with you. Like you should approach it as a teacher to get to every kid every day and know your kids.
No.
Like that's the motto of the dang podcast. We should follow through with that. But if a kid says, or if a kid's just not a talker and a kid's not very social, that's their choice and that's fine. Ultimately, because we have no control over that. And if they want to not engage with us more than they need to, that's their choice. I would like them to, and I encourage it every day. But some kids, the most you get out of them is a smile or a nod or one moment of eye contact. You know, I agree with you. I think that's hard. And I can think of kids that I still don't know very well that I try and get to every day. And typically I do, but it's not always a two-way street.
That you end up talking more?
Yeah, I want them to talk to me or have something to, do with that. And today, example of this, today was the first day we split into concert bands. Yeah. So I met with my concert band for the first time today in the same room. And I did every kid and, mowed the lawn, went through all the rows and talked to every kid. And some kids, they'll want you to hang out for a second and talk to them. And some it's like, I did get rejected from a fist bump today.
Wow.
That one hurt. Yeah.
You got your work cut out for you.
I do. I put it up there and they got one of those. I was like, did I offend you? Like, no.
You have no idea.
Okay. Well, we'll see how this changes by April. So, yeah, I mean, you gotta do that. So your challenge to yourself is get back out in the frigid cold and get into.
No, I'm not getting out in the frigid cold.
Okay.
I'm not
get out in
doing
the hallway.
That. I just need to be on the floor, in the room, and more approachable. I say, and then when the class starts, I do go by and visit every kid.
Yeah.
And I visit every table and I say hi to every student. And some of them may be a longer conversation. Some may be just a, hey, how you doing? And some of them I'd like to be longer. But I just wish it was more. I wish I ran towards all the students.
Ooh. Young teachers, old teachers, teachers who you don't want to define yourself through your age, that's fine. Listen to the man. Get in there with your kids. He's got it. He's talking about it. And he is not preaching perfection. He's not saying he's got it, but he says he's going after it like every day and wants to go after it every day and is aware when he doesn't.
I want to make contact every day.
Every kid.
Every day. But it's hard to create a connection with kids that don't talk. And like you said, need to respect that because it's who they are. They're very conservative with words, but I just feel like I failed, and I don't need you to lift me up, John.
Just call me John. Oh my gosh, throwing out the legal names out here. Save that for the driver's license, man.
But also though, just like if you ask me, tell me something about every one of your students.
Yeah.
That I should be able to do that. But when the students are talking to their parents, they should be able to tell their parents about me.
Wow, that's next level.
And it doesn't have to be super personal. I mean, you share what you want to share. We're not trained counselors, we're not trained social workers or therapists, but there should be like a base level that they know about me. They should know that I was a former music teacher. They should know that I went to Concord. I'm married and have 2 sons and a dog.
That's a totally interesting take. I've never thought about it from the other way. Like, I should know my kids, but I never thought about how they should know me. I think you're right. It
Right.
should be, because we're usually so focused on getting that side that like we can know them, but it's not meaningful if they
Right.
don't know us, right?
Right.
No, that's a good
And
point.
as a teacher, you share, again, with what you're comfortable with. And I don't recommend sharing very personal stuff at all, obviously. But something that just helps identify you as a person, your hobbies, and maybe where your family's from, or where your family lives.
Steve, after all these years, you're still teaching me. After all these years.
I just made that one up. That was good.
Oh, good. I usually think of like that. My litmus test is like if I was like stuck at school waiting for this kid to get a ride, like any of those kids, and I had to hang out with them for 10 minutes, and it's just us two. Would that be awkward, or would we be able to hold a conversation for those 5 or 10 minutes? You know, I think about that.
That's a great one to think about. What could you hang with those kids?
Like one-on-one.
Yes.
It's different when you're hanging with a group, but like one-on-one, this kid. Like, there are some classes I think I could do it with every kid. There are some classes I for sure could not. I don't know them well enough. And that, I mean, I think about that, not that it would necessarily ever happen, but just like, could I talk to these kids? And you're right. It's like we're so focused on that in the summer because the beginning of the school year is when we have the least on our plate as teachers. And then as the year goes on, it starts to add up. And we're like, well, I need to go take time to do this. I'm really busy.
And the other thing happens is that we kind of get set in our ways, and we kind of have our patterns, the way that we walk through the classes or engage with kids. So you kind of have that rhythm. And then if there's a kid that doesn't get a lot of attention because they're not really verbal, then it's easy to kind of move on instead of like keep on your thing of like keep on putting the pennies in the piggy bank, right?
That's true. And I'm thinking about that right now, going like I'm missing those opportunities. I'm like, come on.
Right.
I can think about a specific class I teach that I'm just like grinding it out every day because I'm like, no, we gotta go. And I'm not making as intentional time doing that. I'm still out in the hallways talking to the kids, but I wonder if the kids think that's authentic or not. You know, I always wonder about that.
I would think they would because
that's
you
good.
are authentic.
Right, but I guess it doesn't matter what I am. It matters what they think. I know I'm authentic, but do they feel that is authentic? You know, that's what I wonder.
That matters.
What? It doesn't matter what they think?
Well,
It totally matters what they think.
But it's true what you're giving them.
That's only 50%. There's the other
But
50% what they're
If
receiving.
you convince them that you're being true, that seems like they're pulling a little bit of the manipulation card, and you're like catering, well, I have to prove it to you that I really care about you, rather than just like, this is who I am. Believe it. How's that?
I think you're right.
I know I'm right.
I think we can also. I think
That's why I start
but-
the podcast, is because I say, hello, I'm Steve Peterson, because I'm right. No, I'm not right.
Yeah, just keep talking more. Just keep filling the. Okay, I'm actually never mind. I'm gonna pull that one back. I think you're right, but I also it's still on my mind. Like I don't know if like me hanging out in the hallway saying hi, fist pumping, how we doing? How was bio that you just came from second out? I don't know. Like if they feel that, like, are you just talking to me because like you think you have to for your job? Like, are they going like scrutinizing teenager on me? I don't know. You're right. It doesn't matter, but I want them to feel that authenticity. That's my thought.
I was just thinking, though, it's so much easier with certain students to do that.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And it's enjoyable. And like you could have 30 seconds at the entrance of the room and like be cracking up about something. and it gets a crew of kids involved, and you got like you struck gold, and it's going well, and that it makes a difference if it's easier to approach a kid and to kind of stay with them.
Okay, look behind the curtain. There's really not like a day that goes by that I'm not like, not second guessing, but like replaying those conversations in my head
You do that?
every day. I just like, I
You
guess
do
I'm
it right then, or like when you get home?
both.
Yeah.
Yeah. You?
I do both.
I'm saying that mostly to like maybe newer teachers that like are wondering like, is this going to get more natural? Like, am I going to feel better about these things? Yes, you will, for sure. But you're still thinking about it all the time. I would think. Maybe I'm speaking for too many teachers here, but I'm speaking for you and me. But that's something that's on my mind. Is just like, did that conversation hit well? Like, is that just random stuff? you know?
Right.
I'll share a struggle of mine. Not a struggle, a challenge.
Okay, go ahead.
Growth mindset. Thinking about the culture of classes versus the personality of the individual. I want to foster the individual personalities while homogenizing the classroom culture.
America.
Melting pot.
Melting pot.
Melting pot. I want the kids to be who they are, but I want them to be who they are in the best way that the group can function. Does that make sense? Am I saying that well? You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So like thinking of like a new band that just met today for the first day. Those are like fun kids in there. And I know all of them by name. Like I was able to talk to every kid and say their name and say hi and say I'm glad you're in this band. And I mean there are some like very different personalities in that group, but they're all fun kids. And I noticed today, obviously first day, it was a lot of like procedural reminders, building procedural skills. That's where we spent the time. And I want to homogenize that so that they're able to be good at the procedures, but also be like funny and witty and kind of sassy. Like let the personalities be. And sometimes I struggle with that for multiple reasons. One, maybe I want to just get the content moving. Maybe I want to get the teaching moving. And maybe sometimes I'm not always aware of it. But I do want to be more intentional about creating the culture. And I remember when I was a young teacher and you told me was I was going to start teaching more of like the marching band as a young teacher. Like imagine what like the perfect sectional would look like. And I had like never thought about that before. That like blew my mind. Like what would be the perfect like class? And I envisioned something, and I'm sure it's not what it would be now, but if I envision that, I can envision what the perfect like culture would be as the group, but also the personalities there too. And I want to help the kids understand that vision.
I like what you said about having the students be themselves, but also kind of alluding to the fact that you want them kind of the best version of themselves that can function in your class.
Yeah.
With the teammates that are there.
Yeah. Yeah, because I mean, you've taught jazz band. I've taught jazz band. I want the funny zingers to come out. Like I want that.
Yeah.
And you might have to like. There might be a time when you interrupt me,
Right.
and throw one in,
Right.
and it might not hit well. There might be a time that you interrupt me and you throw one in, and it hits really well.
Right.
And that's like social skills, like kind of reading the room, but also like that is a cultural thing of like when we're moving and when we're not, like how to find those moments. It might be a really lofty goal, but I think it's one that if it could happen or we get close to it, that would make teaching fun, it would make learning fun, and it would make the content learned well.
Yeah.
That's my goal. We'll touch base in April, and I'll let you how it's going. Let you know how it's going.
So do you help the students recognize when something is said and it went well and something is said and it didn't go well?
Yes. Yes, I think I do most of the time. And I can think of a class that I'm working with now that like I would say they function well as a class, but it's like not homogenized the culture.
Mm-hmm.
but they're okay, but it's not as good as it could be.
So you have like a few people that are kind of leading it, and then a few that are kind of
That are slow to follow.
yeah.
Yeah. And, like today, I can think of an example that happened that it was like a procedural teaching moment in like December, and that's like not a great showing on my part. But that's what I'm talking about. Like, that's something I want to get better at is
Right.
like help them understand it and see it
Right.
and adhere to it. So that's my challenge for myself next semester.
I like it. I think so much of teaching, like creating that classroom environment, is being very intentional with telling the kids when things went well
Yes.
and when things didn't go well. And, Concord has a program called Portrait of a Graduate, or
Mhm.
something that we talk about. It's basically a way of talking about soft skills.
Yeah.
But all those soft skills can be attended. Some of them can just happen organically,
Mm-hmm.
but some of them can can happen intentionally. And when you recognize that, and you kind of feed upon that, I'm trying to think of an example, but this, I think it's so important that you help create the culture that you want in your classroom, and you use the pieces that are there, the personalities are there, and your classroom culture will shift and morph based on who's in front of you. But the overall vibe of the class hopefully goes from
Yes.
one year to the next, but the exact flavor is going to change. And it's such a fine balance to helping students have a voice, but not to have them over talk people. Like we've talked about this before, about having like a class discussion, or maybe you're getting input from everybody, and or you're having like you want people to show us an example of like, what you did this weekend or something like that. And everybody jumps in, but then some of them like take too much mic time.
Yes.
And then some of them don't. And it's so important that you as the teacher orchestrate that. You're the conductor, literally, but you make sure that you help equalize the time. So the shy student gets to have a voice.
Yes.
And that the proud and loud student isn't the only voice we heard, but that's not just like, well, I got a kid that talks too much and I got a kid that doesn't talk. That's your job description. You get to help try to control that, and it may never be what you want it to be exactly, but you keep on moving the levers, and you keep on coaching up, and you keep on giving like hand gestures and face gestures, like, yeah, that went well, or like, don't do that again, please, but I'm not going to roast you in front of the class. Right? But you give feedback all the time to promote or get not replicate what you want.
Word. We'll be right back. This episode of Chops is sponsored by Sight Reading Factory. Sight Reading Factory is a digital tool that generates virtually infinite music on the spot for any ensemble. Every exercise is customizable, making it great to focus on specific rhythms or intervals. And now, you can even align the exercises to match your state and organizational standards. Sight Reading Factory is built for the classroom with two great features: auto assessment and live practice. Auto assessments grade student recordings automatically so you don't have to, and they sync directly to your gradebook. By selecting one of 3 levels of leniency for your group, you can be sure SRF will grade recordings appropriately. Live practice allows you to generate music for your ensemble on the spot. Correctly transposed parts will be sent to students' devices while you read the score. No more wasting time distributing, collecting, and hunting down original parts from your library on Sight Reading Day. Visit sightreadingfactory.com today to begin your subscription for as low as $3 per student. So for you teachers out there listening, Steve is saying, like, that's your job. Like, go for it. Steve's not saying you must make it happen. He's saying it's your job to go for it. I think there are some people out there that might just be like, well, that's the way it is. That's just who they are. Yeah.
Yeah, but I think you tried to take that's the game. That's another part of the game besides helping students learn things. But you take that class that isn't really a class or a team, and you somehow form it into something.
Yeah, Breakfast Club it up. Let's go.
That's
right.
Right.
I agree. I agree with you, Steve. I think you're 100% right.
Thank you so much.
And I've seen how you do it.
Do you, Jack?
I've seen your tools that you use, like humor, sarcasm. You use. Those are the main two. Now that I think about it.
Sarcasm.
Well, yeah, I shouldn't. Maybe sarcasm is too rude. You just said, "Do you, Jack?" So I just threw that out there. But you do encourage kids, and Steve has a rule that, like, if he does question of the day, like our weekend update, right? He says you have to say something, and you can't say sleep. Right? That's the rule.
Yeah, that's true.
And because there's something that they've done, but you give them boundaries. Like, you have to say at least this much. And I've seen you give kids word limits. You've done that as a class for like a question of the day, like weekend update in 4 words, but you've said like, okay, Johnny, you got 6 words. Tell us about your weekend. You know, like we got to calm this down.
Right.
Didn't you have a student you gave poker chips once? As many
that was a student teacher.
Oh my gosh.
That teacher is still in the public school, but that teacher asked so many questions after every class. It was just like question diarrhea. It was like blah 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 blah, like, and I'm sure there were great questions, but Scott Spradlin and I were team teaching at the junior high at the time, and we're like, this is nutty. There's so many questions. Like, can you think for yourself just a little bit? But we gave that student teacher we give him poker chips every day. And every time he asked a question, he had to give us a poker chip. It was kind of funny because he was into it. And then one day he came in and he just gave the whole mound to us at once. He goes, I quit. Like, he was just like, I don't have enough chips to ask this. It was good.
I did do that. I modeled that from what you saw. I gave that to a student once.
Okay.
And the student knew that he talked a lot and said a lot of things and would try and be funny too much of the time. And the student was kind of in on the joke with me, which was the only way it would be appropriate, right? But that he thought it was funny and he got better about it. And then the class was in on the joke too.
Right.
And that worked.
I think it's good to have. It's not good. I think it's necessary to have inside humor information with the kids.
Yeah.
And you there needs to be something going on that you can call back with the kids that will get a laugh. And not just a laugh for me, just like a laugh for the kids, and to feel like they're part of it. And I was like thinking today, I had a student, and shout out to said student, but he had a full bag of popcorn. Okay. And it had like cheese sprinkles on it. Right. And he sits pretty close to me, and he's in a chair, and he's like, yo, Mr. He goes,
hey, yo, Mr. P.
Yo, Mr. P, do I have cheese on my mustache? And I did kind of like laugh out loud just because he's a very kind and humble student. But he was just like, yo, Mr. P, do I have cheese on my mustache? And I was like, no, but I gave him a couple Kleenexes. And I said, when you're done using the Kleenexes, please put them back in the box. And then.
Did he laugh at that?
Yeah, he goes, what? I said, come on. Said, I'm trying to save paper here. Just return the Kleenexes when you're done with them, please.
Okay, Steve. Success of the year so far.
Go. Well, I would like to.
Okay, thanks. My turn. Sorry.
Excellent.
Okay.
Excellent. I would give myself a success star for being pliable, adaptive,
Malleable, if you will.
malleable,
Yep.
creative, to reach students where they are, being in a new
Ooh.
classroom environment and finding where each student is.
For example.
It's important that I've learned, when I took this job at Aspire and I meet students for the first time, I ask them as an alternative school, how did you get invited to the alternative school?
Okay.
How did you get? And I have a little bit of background,
Yeah.
but not, sometimes you just connect the dots, but it's not like, this is the exact reason this student is in your class. So talking with the student and having them highlight or low light, but just talk about what didn't go well
Okay.
and why they're in a specialized situation right now.
Yeah.
But have them say it and kind of reflect, but then also they're sharing with me, including me in,
Yeah.
and that felt like it was very meaningful and
Good.
very successful.
Good for you.
Thank you.
Do I go now?
Yeah, you go.
Okay, I go now. This is go CIS now.
Yeah.
This is very content specific, but that's where I'm at. I feel like I know I'm better at teaching AP music theory this year than last year. Shocking, because last year was my first year.
Yeah.
So my success was based, I believe, in the fact that I had the broader scope done, like I did it for a year. I felt comfortable 90% with the content, like 90% of the content, I'm like, I'm with it. But after having done it for a year, I understand the pacing of it more and the broad picture and how different parts go into other parts and how to teach those appropriately so I can scaffold it better later, how to pace things, how to be consistent with assignments and the expectation of turning in assignments, and that's been reflected with their turn-in rate as a class, which I think is, homework for AP theory has gone much better. So I'm happy about that. So, we'll see how the scores end up and all that stuff, but I do feel a lot more comfortable in the broad picture and planning ahead of time. So that's my win. Yeah.
Okay, here's the challenge. If you're a teacher out there, sit down with one of your teaching besties and review the first semester. What went well, what didn't go well, challenges, successes, and have a little chatty poo about that.
Do it.
Right?
Do it now. Yeah. That's like reflecting and getting better. It's growing. That's it.
Okay.
Cool. So make sure you like, subscribe, follow everywhere that you find Chops Podcast. And if you met some people at Midwest and you want to say, hey, check out this new show to listen to, shoot them a word. Throw us up on there.
We are not presenting at Midwest this year. So I know there was a rumor about that was getting out there, but I just wanted to put that down.
Yeah, we wanted to save it for a bigger stage.
No rumor. I just made that up. Okay. So I hope you have a great break, Jack. I'll probably I don't know if I'll see you before break.
Oh, wow. We don't have to plan out this year what we're doing for classes. That'll be different.
I mean, we could, but I don't think you want to be in my plan.
Well, I have asked you a lot about
that's okay.
programming already,
That's
so
okay.
probably we'll text you at some point.
Okay. So for Steve Peterson
And Jack Hinkle.
we're out of here.
See ya.